My name's Lauren Nicol.
And my name's Rachel Horn, and we are the co-heads of school here at Mount Street Academy in Lincoln.
So after the birth of my second baby, I requested to go part-time and requested to have a job share as head of school. And I was delighted to say that Rachel Horn agreed to be my partner, and we became co-heads of school in November 2018 after I returned from maternity leave. It was really important, I think, for us to begin to have a conversation before we started the role of how we were going to make this role work. Staff were used to having one person to go to, parents were used to having a face, just one face leaving the school, and obviously the children had that relationship. And so we wanted to ensure that we made, I guess, the role start as well as it possibly could. So before I returned from maternity leave, Rachel and I had a day away where we had a very honest and quite vulnerable conversation, and we drew up a bit of a contract which looked at some of the agreements we were going to make with each other about how we were going to behave, how we were going to make decisions, how we were going to ensure that both of us being part-time was going to be the best thing for Mount Street Academy. So we talked about things like how would we argue well, for example. So we know in any role, but particularly in a headship role, there are difficult decisions that need to be made, and we wanted to ensure that if we disagreed, that we did that in a really positive way. I think it's absolutely right that we bring challenge to each other, but ensuring that we weren't getting offended to each other. Also showing that once that decision had been made, if there was a disagreement, beyond our office wall, wasn't going to show that there was disagreement, but actually we were standing shoulder to shoulder, really.
And I think it was important to have that clarity ourselves before we were to present as a team to the rest of the staff. And so that time away was really important, and to have those open and honest conversations before we actually went back to staff, because staff, of course, knew us both really well, but had known us in previous job roles. So it was important that that equality was there before we actually began. Of being in a co-headship. There are lots of advantages. From my point of view, it's very lonely. I think most heads will feel that it's very lonely at the top. You might have a really strong team around you, but ultimately that accountability lies with you. And I find that sort of thing really quite daunting. So having somebody else there that has that accountability and that shared accountability is really important to me. I also think that having your own style of leadership is brilliant, and each person has their own set of strengths that they might bring to leadership, but that other person has different strengths, and combined it can make you a really strong co-head of school. There is the added benefit for me. I have a longer weekend, so that work-life balance for me means that when I come in on a Monday, I'm fresh and I'm raring to go, and I've had time to reflect on the previous week, as well as have some time away from thinking about school and education.
And I think when I made the decision to request whether I could go part-time, it was after having my two children, and I wanted to be a mum really, really well. I wanted to do that job really well, but I also wanted to be the very, very best head of school that I could possibly be for this place. And I think for me now, having that balance allows me to feel a little bit more confident that I'm doing both roles. Probably still not perfectly, but better than I was. I think it's the shared accountability, it's the shared practice, it's the shared thoughts. I guess it's the shared leadership styles that I hope combined makes the partnership work really well for the benefit of the school.